Let's start with your overall analysis of the markets, but more especially what you're forecasting for the trading day ahead.
Hello, Alishia. Good morning. I believe that last week the market traded flat, and I believe that this week we are going to see almost the same thing happening. Although some stocks, we found out that some stocks that released good results, like Dangote Flour, were able to rally, and I expect that to continue. Especially for those companies that will release good results, we expect that they would also rally. And for those companies that we expect, like Nigerian breweries and flour mills, we're expecting their results very soon. I see investors taking position in stocks like that. But for generally, the market is expected to trade flat like it did last week, giving no surprises this week.
Doubra, of course, this is in a context where we've still got a lot of uncertainty surrounding the banking arena. We've got the fate of the troubled bank still in consideration, the possible emergence of an asset management company as well. So the market's certainly waiting to see what developments unfold on that front. Have we seen any new developments there?
For now, there are no new developments. We know of new advisors that were appointed by the central bank for the troubled banks. But apart from that, there are no other new developments. And with no new developments, we don't expect much from the banking sector. Although most people are not concentrating on the troubled banks at the moment because they are going to undergo a lot of restructuring for a long term. But more focus is now placed on those banks that have been cleared, and especially those that have made huge provisionings.
So in the meantime, and we were discussing this on Friday, a lot of investors' attention is being diverted towards the consumer goods sector, most specifically showing resilience, still seeming to allure investors that way. Run us through some of the rationale and the investment merit that lies in the consumer goods sector in your books right now. We
have noticed from the results that have been released in recent times that most of the consumer goods sector have been releasing very good results. For instance, Nestle did over 30% on their turnover as an increase, and it also hit their PAT also. They did over 30%, and that is fantastic results given the current state of the economy. And we've seen PZ also did the same thing. Gave a reasonable increase in their turnover also, as well as their PAT. For Cadbury, for instance, right now, Cadbury also gave, like you mentioned earlier, they had about 7% increase in their turnover, although they are still in a loss position. But we expect that they should be out of it in a very short, in maybe the nearest future. We also noticed that Dangote Flour has released a fantastic result last week. So I believe that more attention is being focused in this sector because most of them have been releasing fantastic results lately.
Let's take a look at Cadbury's numbers, because those numbers weren't too fantastic. I mean, the company, as you highlighted, while turnover increased, still at a net loss position. Are you confident in the business? You clearly illustrated that you're confident in the business being able to get to a profit situation. What do you see driving things for the company moving forward?
From the right issue prospectus that they brought that I looked at, that they were giving the right issue that they did recently, we noticed that they are projecting to come into profit in 2011. From their forecast, they believe that they should be able to they would be in a loss position this year as well, but with over 2 billion. But from the result that was released last week, we saw them making a loss of 1.2 billion for the third quarter. And I think that would most likely mean that they would make less loss than they expect to make in the full year. Given that, they would probably be able to come into a profit position next year. They are actually forecasting 2011, but it might be possible for them to do next year. And that is also because their interest, as in the interest rate, the interest that they've been carrying, that has been bringing their profit down considerably, would most likely be written off, as in if they are able to raise the monies that they expect to make from the right issues, they'll be able to pay down most of their loan, and that will reduce their interest expense. So I think they are going to come back very soon.
Very quickly, Doubra, I mean, all of the names you've highlighted here, PZ Cousins, Unilever, Nigeria, Cadbury, they are big names. I mean, what does the current sentiment that surrounds the consumer goods space spell for a company like Tantalizers, for example, that are considered smaller players that don't ordinarily see a lot of interest?
Okay. For the smaller players in that sector, like I pointed out earlier, most of the big players have been releasing very fantastic, at least reasonable results, increasing turnover, and then their profit margins have not gone down drastically like we would have expected. I think this also would affect the smaller players. If those companies, those big players are able to do good, I believe that the smaller players should be able to do better, because, and this would actually affect their own, their prices also, their stock prices, because since most of the companies, like I've pointed out earlier, the results actually move their prices. So if they are able to release good results like the big players have been doing, I think that their prices should also rally.